Record progress.
やると、こちらのつながる。それが向こう、マルカスさんの方で切ってくる可能性はですね。はい。ここ今もう動きます。
Namaste and a warm welcome to you all. On behalf of the Vyatra team of Rakesh Pathak, Nitin Utreja, and myself, Saurabh Mishra, to our unique In Buddha's Footsteps experience. Before we start our journey, I'd like to invite Venerable Sunam to please invoke the Buddha's blessings for us all. Venerable Sunam.
Thank you so much. First, we make an offering so that this journey will be a blessed one. Here is the great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being.
Thank you, Venerable Sunam. And we'll obviously have you back shortly after this. I'd like to also introduce Anuja, our event director, who will be helping me run this presentation. Anuja, if you want to say, wave and say hello. There you are, thank you. And also introduce Marcus G, the founder and CEO of Asahi Travel Services, our exclusive partner in Japan. Marcus G, namaskar.
Namaskar, Omo, thank you very much.
Marcus G will in fact be delivering the commentary in Japanese as we go along. So Marcus G, could you please invite our guests from Japan, and we'll then set up the interpretation room for our Japanese guests to join separately.
Thank you. 皆さんどうもありがとうございます。今日もまた参加してくれてありがとうございます。私はマーカスです。今日は特別に領重線お社長とチクリン長者のところを紹介したいと思っています。一番最初今お祈りしてくれたのは、お経をあげてくれたのはスナム先生です。彼女は今現在はジャーマニー、ドイツにおりますけど、 いつもはアメリカにアシュラムを持っていますので、アシュラム、今日はまた私は日本語で翻訳しますので、通訳しますので、別の部屋に行きますので、それは皆さんのところは、インタープレター、通訳のところがありますので、そこをクリックすれば、私の声だけが聞こえます。それは日本語です。けど、全部プログラムは英語で、ソラブさんはコーディネートしています。私は日本語で通訳をしております。So I will be in an interpreter room, and then I will be speaking in Japanese. Those who wants to listen me in Japanese have to click to that interpreter room, which you can see on your screen. We will put it on the chat also. So in case there is any trouble or problem, please come on chat. 何か聞こえないとか問題とか何か問題があれば、チャットに入れてください。それですぐ誰かそれを対応します。ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. Please, Saurabh-san, let us.
Thank you again.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, our In Buddha's Footsteps Vyatra features journeys of places that the Buddha himself recommended that his followers visit, and a number of other places that are now symbolic of the legacy of his teachings.
Sorry, am I in chat in interpreter room now?
Not yet.
Shall we start then? How to do it?
Anuja will assign you to the interpretation room. So, Anuja, please confirm when you've done that.
I am not able to do that. Host can only do that.
All right, that's me then. Okay, I can do that.
ちょっと通訳の部屋は今準備してますので、ちょっとお待ちください。
All right, I think we have achieved that. Yes, good. Let's keep going. So as you can see on the map that we've just shared, the places that we show in our Vyatra sessions in Buddha's Footsteps Vyatra sessions are shown on that map. You can see there. So you can see Kapil Vastu, obviously, and Lumbini, places associated. Lumbini obviously was where he was born as Siddharth, Prince Siddharth. And Kapil Vastu was the capital of his father's kingdom. And it was an aristocratic family of the Shakya clan. And he was born about 2,500 years ago. He left his life of luxury and comfort at the age of 29 in search of the cause and cure of human suffering. And after 6 years of wandering and intense spiritual practice, he arrived at modern-day Bodh Gaya, which you can see as another red triangle there, where a particular experience triggered him towards a simpler middle path. And he instantly found what he was seeking, the experience of enlightenment. He then traveled to Sarnath, another one of the red triangles you can see there, where he delivered the first teaching of this middle path. And he wandered and taught all over northern India for the next 50 years, staying put in Rajgir and Shravasti, the blue triangles, which are really the destinations for today, during the rainy seasons. And finally, he left his body to attain Mahaparinirvana up there in Kushinagar. In our Vyatras, we also cover Nalanda, where you can see the ruins of the quite majestic Nalanda University, where the Buddha's teachings were taught for more than 1,000 years after his Mahaparinirvana. And also spectacular Leh, right on top of the map, up in Ladakh, an epicenter of Tibetan Buddhism. So today's session is focused on Rajgir and Shravasti. And let's start by showing you both these places in turn on a zoomed in map. So we'll start with Rajgir first. And you can see the two locations specifically that we want to show. One is Venuvan, or the bamboo forest, where the Buddha spent 12 rainy seasons living and teaching. And then Gridhakuta, or Vulture's Peak. Gridha is vulture and Kuta is peak, so Gridhakuta, which was one of his favorite spots for really, I think, a silent meditation. And you can see it's quite a spectacular place. And then next slide, please. In Shravasti, we will see Jetavan, where the Buddha spent 24 rainy seasons and living and teaching, and also then Kachi Kutir and Pakki Kutir, associated respectively with famous disciples of the Buddha, Angulimal and Anathapindaka. And we'll have more to say about these each of these places, obviously. Now, as most of the experience will be live, do bear with us for any unexpected interruptions or bandwidth challenges. We found, for example, that in Kushinagar, where if the Buddha gave up his body there, then bandwidth also tends to give up from time to time there. So do bear with us if that happens. We do have some plan Bs and so on, but hopefully we can have a good, smooth journey with live footage throughout the session. Please also feel free to comment or post questions in the chat area of the Zoom meeting. Our guides will quite happily answer the questions, certainly, this is very much wanting to be an interactive experience for all of you. So please do interact. All right, then let's follow in the Buddha's footsteps. Our first destination in Rajgir is Venuvan, or the bamboo forest. In the Buddha's time, Rajgir was perhaps the most important city in the country. It was the capital of the mighty Magad Empire that would rule over vast swathes of North India for another 200 years. And in the Buddha's time, the father-son duo of Bimbisar and Ajat Shatru ruled over the empire. And Venuvan was actually gifted by the Emperor Bimbisar to the Buddha, where he stayed for 12 rainy seasons. We have Praveen, who is our guide, our Vyatra guide at Venuvan. Praveen ji, namaskar.
प्रवीण नमस्कार सर, और मैं वेनुवन में हूँ और यहाँ पे मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जस्ट हमारे पीछे में पास में ही है, ये वेनु मीन्स बम्बू.
Bamboo, yes.
And
bamboo.
yes, and bamboo मतलब गार्डन टाइप से एक फेस्टिव एक फॉरेस्ट टाइप से होता था पूरा राजगिर में. ये बम्बू का ही फॉरेस्ट होता था. और ये हमारा जो है ये बम्बू जो देख रहे हैं ये वेनुवन एक रॉयल पार्क होता था उस पीरियड में, जिस समय भगवान बुद्ध आए थे. उसमें मगध के राजा बिम्बिसार राजा ने उनको दिया था रहने के लिए, ये रॉयल गार्डन जिसमें बम्बू गार्डन.
If you can just pause, let us just translate that for an English speaking audience. As you can see behind Praveen, Venuvan still has it's a bamboo. Essentially it was a bamboo grove, and it still has bamboo trees growing all over the place. It's a beautiful, beautiful, serene place in Rajgir. And as Praveen basically was also referring to the same fact that the Emperor Bimbisar, who was one of the first great real emperors of modern Indian history, had gifted this to the Buddha. So Praveen, ये बताइए कि बिम्बिसार बुद्ध से पहले भी मिले थे ना? वो बुद्ध बनने से पहले मिले थे वो. He did.
Yes.
The question is, the Emperor Bimbisar actually met Buddha before he was the Buddha.
Yes, sir. पहले उन्होंने बुद्ध भगवान से मिले थे और भगवान बुद्ध से उन्होंने प्रॉमिस लिया था कि जब आपको इनलाइटनमेंट मिल जाएगा तो सबसे पहले आप मुझे बताना. और जब भी इनलाइटनमेंट मिलने के बाद सभी साथियों के साथ वो जो आए यहाँ पे, तो बोध गया से नालंदा की राजगीर की ओर आए और उनको जो है ये रॉयल पार्क रहने के लिए दिया हुआ था, तो वो यहाँ पे रहे. और देखिए ये जो है कंडक तालाब है, यहीं से स्नान करके वो गिरधकुट पर्वत पे स्नान करने के लिए स्नान करने के बाद मॉर्निंग में ही चले जाते थे.
So Praveen is describing that before the Buddha actually, as he was making his way to Bodh Gaya, so he was still a monk. He actually met the Emperor Bimbisar, and Bimbisar certainly saw something special in this young man. And he said to him that, look, as soon as you experience enlightenment, make perhaps that make me the first person that you come and tell that you have experienced it, and can come and tell me about it. And so naturally he was eagerly following the Buddha's journey. This particular statue, I believe, is a statue that's been gifted by the Japanese community, it's been installed at Venuvan. And the pond that the lake that Praveenji was showing us, evidently is a lake that the Buddha used to take a bath in every morning, and then he used to make his way out to Ridhkut, which is obviously a place that we'll see next. So Praveenji, can you show us? थोड़ा सा स्थिर होकर के आप जरा सा दिखा दीजिए. I think it's interesting to see the banks of that. Praveenji, just the lake दिखाइए please, और टिके रहिए वहाँ पर please. Just focus. हिलिए मत बस. Thank you. And if you can make out on the other side, on the banks of this lake, there are actually hedges of bamboo. So they're actually they've been carved out in quite intricate patterns throughout the bank. So it's obviously a very well cultivated garden still to this day. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll just like to leave you for a few minutes to soak in the serenity of this historic place. We'll play some music and just let you enjoy the visuals. Wonderful. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, we're happy to take questions. I think there was one about the designs by the lakeside. I think they're just designs. I don't think there's anything more than that. It's just a visually appealing design. All right, if there are no more questions, then we'll move along to the next segment. We actually have Okonogi Sensei, who is actually based in Venuvan in Rajgir, and would like to please invite him to give us a blessing again. Sensei, namaskar. I think you need to unmute. Just Anuja, could you please trigger the unmute for?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Bhavinji, unmute करिए please जरा सा.
ओके सर.
हाँ जी, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सर, मैं बविन कुमार, जापानी मंदिर राजगीर से.
So yes, so Bhavin is actually in the Japanese temple at Rajgir. तो Bhavin जी, sensei को जरा सा, बाबा जी को जरा सा please दिखाइएगा.
ठीक है सर. बाबा जी हैं सर.
Sensei. Sensei, नमस्कार. Ohayou gozaimasu. Sensei, so अगर आप कुछ नमस्कार सेंसे. तो सेंसे अगर आप please lead us through a teaching, a chant. कुछ प्रेयर
एक मिनट सर, इनको थोड़ा सा वो लगाना होगा और प्रार्थना करने के लिए.
राइट.
हाँ ठीक है सर, वो कर रहे हैं सर.
I think we might have lost the feed there a little bit. We thank the Venerable Okunogi Sensei for that. And we'll move along actually to the next place in our destination, which is actually a very picturesque place, the Vulture's Peak or Gridkut, where we have our local guide Sanjay standing by. Sanjay ji, namaskar. Gridkut is certainly one place where bandwidth has always been a bit challenging. So I think we take whatever we can get. And it's, I mean, it's spectacular visuals, as you can see. It's mountains, you can actually see 5 peaks around them. कर लीजिए। अनुजा, can you mute Sanjay? So Gritskut is a just a second, ladies and gentlemen, let me just find it. Sanjay, no, I think that's anyway. Let's move on. So Anuja, maybe we can play the music here while we can just show the visuals that are visible.
Sure.
Thank you. We're not hearing the music, Anuja. If you're playing it, please. Whilst the music is queuing, so as I mentioned, Gritskut is a place where the Buddha used to come and sit in seclusion, and it was certainly one of his favorite spots for when he was in Rajgir. It's a there are many places associated with many places close to Gritskut. If Sanjay ji जरा सा घुमा के थोड़ा सा घुमा दीजिए, if you can just show जो पत्थर जो है वो दिखा दीजिए, if you can show the not the video, Anuja, just the visuals are fine. There we go. Yes. So that rock that you can see is actually shaped a little bit like a vulture. So that's actually what lends the name, the Vulture's Peak name or Gritskut name to the place. And certainly a place where in modern times a lot of Buddhists come. In fact, at the top of that mountain is actually the Shanti Stupa, the place that Rajgir is most famously, I think, associated with. Just on top of that hill there, you can see it there, right there. You can see a little bit of it peeking out. Anuja, do you think we can play the music now? Have you got the music queued?
Yes.
Just whilst we've got good bandwidth and we can enjoy the scenery here. So Anuja, we're not hearing the music. So maybe I can just perhaps bring in Siddharth Singh. Siddharth ji. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'd like to now invite Nobuyasu Sensei. Nobuyasu Sensei, namaskar. Over to you, sir, for prayer, please.
こんにちは、ナマステ。曹洞宗の僧侶の金子です。聞こえますでしょうか。I am a deputy chief priest of Shokuji, Aichi Prefecture. 聞こえてますか？あ、
はいはい、聞こえてます。
私のは聞こえてますか？
はい、聞こえてます。はい。Yes, all good. Please carry on. Please start.
あ、英語にですね。これで大丈夫ですかね？
はい、日本語大丈夫。
聞こえますか？
はい、聞こえてます。
はい、失礼しました。改めて、こんにちは、ナマステ。曹洞宗の僧侶で、円光というお坊さんの名前、なんですけれど、よろしくお願いします。I'm a deputy chief priest of 正福寺。領重線でですね、お釈迦様が説かれました、法華経ですね。法華経2つお経を挙げさせていただきます。I read Lotus Sutra, 法華経 at その領重線、famous place where the Buddha began preaching. ウラプブダムサラナムガッチャミウラタンダンマムサラナムガッチャミウラスンサンガムサラナムガッチャミ芸物当願主上大下大道骨無上位直営法当願主上人入共造知恵尿海直営層当願主上通り大衆一切無芸画尺所蔵諸悪号海遊無視頓人地重心食い少々一切が今回懺悔両方蓮華経観世音菩薩不問下尊妙相具が根十門美仏師が因縁妙意観世音空足妙相尊下と無人に妙長観音行税王消防署空税人入快楽幸不思議自他戦六仏発大症状が外入略説門名行形心新年福可能滅生福慶始公害水落大化教年費観音力化教返上地枠教流公開病業正気何年費観音力ハローの没枠来週に二二週水羅年費観音力尿日航空樹幕費悪人畜堕落混合線年費観音力風の損逸も悪地温蔵女各種等価外年費観音力芸則記事神惑相難具人形浴場十年費観音力当時段々芸惑周期観察中足非中海年費観音力灼熱即芸打収葬消毒薬食用外神社年費観音力芸弱王法年枠悪打職業正気等年費観音力実質部関外脈薬自重理芸総化不年費観音力失踪不縁母感弱重仏活継続栄華年年費観音力常時自営本来空性伝合学十大有年費観 音力王子徳昇山中重非婚約無料空非新観音領地理農具政権空軍属人通力交中地方弁王将国道無節風芸新州重小悪州地獄鬼畜小小六行飼育人前質量滅新官少女観光大地栄官理官十字官上上層戦後無垢少女公営日波昭安農部財布家父名称慶心非大海来神事明大中間老滅情報の炎上少々官女封印軍人中年非観音理小第三名関税本部の会長消費税本前交渉上年熱保証議関税温症多くの試薬のいさえ工具一切空洞次元重収重含む皆無料税公庁大差即重座儀前略仏論生尊略修士門税関税恩坊差本寺在寺道具門人現人通力者当時税人空毒勝仏節政府門本寺集中満四川修樹開発無東道脈参謀大臣今お経を挙げさせていただきましたブッダが、領重線でですねまたラジュで、説法をですね、晩年、されたまたブッダは、命がですね永遠に続いて皆さんが必要な時に領受線また皆さんのところに現れるということが、法華経にも書かれております。で今、有名な法華経の中から一つですね、一部分、短いところ、お経を挙げさせていただきました。時間があればもう一つ挙げさせていただきたいと思うんですが、その前に私、日印交流をですね、35年続けています。I have been conducting a cultural exchange between Japan and India at citizen level for more than 35 years so that Japan and India can get along better. で、マルカさんと一緒にですね、ディスカバーインディアクラブのメンバーでもあります。I am one of the vice president of Discover India Club. で、私はブッダのですね、足跡をたどる旅を数年しています。I have been traveling alone 一人で、in the footstep of Buddha for several years. で、ここの、ラージギルでもですね、チベットのお坊さんと一緒にですね、お経を、今年去年は行けてないんですけれど、3年前にこの場所を訪れて、チベットのお坊さんと一緒にお経をあげさせていただきました。I visited here 3 years ago and had a sutra here with Tibet monk ですね。はい。で、法華経は本当に大事なお経で、とても長いんですね。で、日本山の先ほど挙げていただきましたし、そうですね、日蓮宗の方が主にですね、大事なお経として挙げられるんですが、私の宗派も非常に法華経大事なお経ということで、今ですね、読経させていただいたお経とか、あと妙法蓮経、如来寿量本下と、いうスートラをですね、挙げさせていただいて、その中にはですね、領受線に、ブッダが現れる、そこにいますよと いうことがお経の中に、書かれて、います。それで、あれですかね、マルカスさん、あまり私のお経ばっかり長くなっても、せっかく皆さん観光ですので、見ていただいた方がいいと思いますので、お経はこのくらいでよろしいですよね。はい。それでは最後にです。
ありがとう。Thank you.
また
ありがとうございます。
時間があればね、またお経をね、あげさせていただきます。お経というよりも、仏教はですね、人と人をね、つなげる力がありますので、まさに仏教を通して日本とインドとの交流、人と人といろんな課題ですね、環境とか平和の問題とか、いろんな問題をですね、解決する力が仏教にはあると思いますので、ぜひ仏教だけではなくていいですけど、いろんな力でつなげていきたいと思います。Environmental SDGs goals issue solved by connecting. Buddhism is power to connect people and people, and heart of sutra make then happy peace.
Thank you.
Let's connect together and solve the problem of the earth. ということで、皆さん、一緒につながってやっていきましょう。はい、どうも、ちょっと長くなってごめんなさい。じゃあ、よろしくお願いします。
いえ、ありがとうございました。
And
Thank you very
we
much.
very much appreciate the sentiment. We very much share the sentiment, and that's that's very much the intention as well, to connect people with, really bring to life the Buddha's life and story, and assist people in connecting with it. Thank you very much, Nobuyasu Sensei. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably move along. Just in passing, I wanted to mention that there are a number of other places in Rajgir which are quite important. Rajgir really was where, in the Saptaparni cave in Rajgir, was the first Buddhist council. So after the Buddha's passing, when all his disciples congregated and really collated the teachings. Sorry, Marcus, I think you're asking me to start the interpretation room again, which I will do now.
Yes.
All right, all done.
Okay.
So Saptaparni cave nearby is where that happened, and I think that there's a lot of story with I mentioned the Emperor Bimbisar, his son Ajatashatru. These were really the emperors of a vast kingdom, and there was a lot of complicated stories between them, and but really the Buddha played a pivotal role, I think, in guiding both of them. And ultimately, even Ajatashatru, who was initially quite opposed, really came around and became very much a disciple of the Buddha as well. We'll move along, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll move along to our next destination of this particular edition of Vyatra, which is Shravasti. And Shravasti is about 500 kilometers west, as you might have remembered from that map that we showed you earlier. And our first destination is the picturesque and expansive gardens of Jetwan. Now, before I cross over to our guide, Rajendra, I'd like to share with you a remarkable story about this place. During the Buddha's time, a merchant called Anatha Pindaka lived here, and we'll in fact be showing you the ruins of his mansion in a little while. Now, he had the gift of divination, meaning that he could intuitively pick out where deposits of gold, diamonds, minerals, and so on were available, and had become fabulously rich. So he's really what we would call in mining in modern parlance a mining magnate, and he became fabulously rich. And he met the Buddha at Venuvan, which is obviously the place which we showed you first, in Rajgir, when he was there for a visit. And he persistently requested that the Buddha come to Shravasti. And when the Buddha agreed, eventually, he then set about to go and find a place in Shravasti where the Buddha could actually live, along with his large retinue of disciples. And it was hard to overlook Jetwan, this picturesque orchard owned by the local Prince Jet. However, that approached the prince with an offer to buy the orchard the prince was, a bit offended. He thought, I'm a royal, who are you to try and purchase something from me? But he also respected Anathapindak. So what he did was he thought, I'll make an exorbitant, I'll put an exorbitant price. And he said, you must lay the entire garden with gold coins. And that's the price of this garden, of this purchase. And Anathapindak readily agreed, saying that it's actually but a small price for the merit that I'm going to accrue from this gift. Now, we've run some numbers on this. And Anuja, if you can please bring up the slide deck. So what you'll see in the slide shortly is that price, that asking price, amounts to a price of $1.45 million per meter square in today's based on today's gold price of gold. $1.45 million per meter square. Now, you can see that the other column there, that the most expensive real estate today is a piece of land in Hong Kong that was recently sold for actually it was, I think it was 400 something, $185,000, sorry, yes, $185,000 per meter square. So, so what Anathapindak actually agreed to pay was something like 9 times, the most expensive real estate today. And not just that, if you just click one, Anuja, the actual asking price based on the area of Jetwan was $99 billion in today's currency. So you can imagine someone like a Jeff Bezos basically, saying, okay, my entire fortune is now, committed to this venture. Now, I think that moved Prince Jayat quite a bit, so he didn't actually take his asking price. So Anathapindak managed to keep most of it, but I think there was certainly some gold coins laid out across the garden. All right, Anuja, that's fine. Yes, thank you. Let's actually go to Jetwan, and let's bring in Rajendra. It's a stunning garden. Rajendra ji, namaskar.
Ji, namaste to all of you. This is Brajendra Yadava from Jetwan Shravasti. So, abhi main
yes, where are you standing right now?
Right now, I'm standing nearby Bodhi tree. You can see from here. So I can move my camera, and you can see it clearly.
Yes, please.
ये बोधि वृक्ष है जो कि आप लोगों को पता ही है.
So this is the Bodhi tree that is actually a descendant of the original from Bodh Gaya.
It's offering by Anathapindika when they don't have anything to give Lord Buddha. So I think so. This is the.
So this is the Bodhi. So yes, thank you for reminding me, Rajendra. So the story with Anathapindika continues, where he actually ended up losing his fortune at one point, and yet when he went to visit the Buddha, he still wanted to take something. And what he took with him was the soil that he had in his own private garden, because the soil had been well fertilized, and he brought that soil and fed it and actually gave it to this particular tree, so that the tree might benefit from that. So that's how, that's the sort of generous and expansive mindset that he had cultivated, which really I think stood him well all through life. So this is the tree that Rajendra, आनंद इसका आनंद ने कुछ किया था ना इस पेड़ में.
जी, आनंद बोधि ट्री भी बोलते हैं इसको.
So what's the connection with आनंद?
आनंद एक्चुअली जब भगवान बुद्ध, आप लोगों को पता है कि भगवान बुद्ध ने श्रावस्ती में 24 रेनिंग सीजन 24 और 25 रेनिंग सीजन यहाँ पे उन्होंने बिताया था. तो जेतवन में, जिसको हम जेतवन महाविहार बोलते हैं, यहाँ पे उन्होंने 19 रेनिंग सीजन यहाँ पे व्यतीत किया था. लेकिन जब भगवान बुद्ध स्पेशली यहाँ रेनिंग सीजन में ही होते थे, जब वो यहाँ से चले जाते थे, तो जो भी लोग यहाँ पे घूमने आते थे, तो उनको चूंकि उनको लाभ नहीं मिल पाता था किसी तरीके से, और वो बोलते थे कि अरे हम यहाँ पे आए और खाली हाथ चले गए.
So Rajendra, just pause please so I can translate. So what Rajendra is saying is that the Buddha actually spent 24 years in Shravasti, 24 rainy seasons, living in Shravasti, of which 19 he spent in Jetwan and 6 he spent elsewhere. And the Bodhi tree really served symbolically as his representative. So when he wasn't there, the Bodhi tree was actually where people visited and gave their offered their prayers. Yeah, so that plaque is really talking about the same story, the Bodhi tree story. Rajendra, please continue.
तो आनंदा ने भगवान से कहा कि आप ऐसा कुछ कीजिए कि यहाँ पे जो भी लोग आए, तो अगर आप अब्सेंट हैं यहाँ पे तो उनको भी लाभ प्राप्त हो। तो उस समय उन्होंने कहा ठीक है। और भगवान बुद्ध ने, ऐसा भी माना जाता है कि भगवान बुद्ध ने यहाँ पे 1 नाइट फुल मेडिटेशन किया था। और उसके बाद से यहाँ भी जो भी लोग यहाँ पे आते हैं, इस बोधि ट्री के नीचे बैठ के मेडिटेशन भी करते हैं। तो इस प्रकार से यहाँ पे ये बोधि ट्री एस्टेब्लिश किया गया था।
Right. So the Bodhi tree was very much planted as on request of Ananda, one of the Buddha's disciples, to really be some sort of proxy for when the Buddha was away from from Shravasti. And you can see what a beautiful place this is. It's a serene place, and Rajendra is actually walking towards, I think, some very special places for many of us. Hanley, those were ladders. I think the ladders are really there to support the branches, I believe, of the Bodhi tree. So the place you can see on the left, Rajendra, आप बताएंगे जरा सा लेफ्ट में क्या दिख रहा है, राइट में क्या दिख रहा है?
जी, अभी मैं वहाँ पे चल रहा हूँ और मैं यहाँ पे बताते चल रहा हूँ कि ये एरिया अराउंड 65 एकड़ है, जो कि आपको पता ही है कि जो अनाथ पिंडक थे जिनका नाम सुदत्त था, उन्होंने जो है इसको महाराजा खरीदा, जो कि उन्होंने जो है पूरा गोल्डन से कवर्ड किया अराउंड 60 एकड़, और 5 एकड़ पे उनका गोल्डन खत्म हो गया था। तो ऐसी मतलब जो यहाँ के राजा जैत कुमार थे, जब उन्होंने देखा कि इनकी सुदत्त का जो भगवान के प्रति इतना अपार प्रेम, इस वजह से उन्होंने वो सारे जो 5 एकड़ वो नहीं कवर कर पाए थे, उसको उन्होंने दान स्वरूप दे दिया। और ऐसा माना जाता है कि जो मुद्रा उन्होंने यहाँ पे बिछाई थी या यहाँ पे इस जमीन पे जो भी मुद्राएं डाली थी, उसका बाद में महाराज जैत कुमार ने इस यहाँ पे मठ और मंदिरों का निर्माण कराया था, जो कि आप देख सकते हैं वो सारे स्मारक यहाँ पे अभी भी हैं।
So the quantity
और
of so the quantity of gold that Anath Pindak did pay, actually the prince used it to construct temples and mutt, so pilgrimage, monasteries around the place. So he actually did put it to good use. Some of it you can see right there. So what you're looking at is actually our remnants. So there were actually rooms built on top of these, and you're just seeing. I think there was an earthquake that actually some of the structures fell down. But what you're seeing are remnants of rooms. That room, ladies and gentlemen, is where the Buddha stayed. That's where he lived. And राजेंद्र जी, एक स्पॉट था जहाँ पर वो अपना ध्यान लगाते थे ना? He used to sit and meditate.
जी, ये जो आप लेफ्ट साइड में देख रहे हैं, ये अनाथ पिंडक द्वारा भगवान बुद्ध के लिए बनाया गया था, रेजिडेंशियल एरिया था, जो कि यहाँ पे भगवान रहा करते थे। ये हमारे जो लेफ्ट साइड में है, और ये राइट साइड में है जिसको हम चंक्रमण बोलते हैं, जहाँ पे भगवान बुद्ध हमेशा चंक्रमण किया करते थे। यूनिंग वॉकिंग कर बोलते भी हैं, तो यूनिंग में जो है वॉकिंग विथ मेडिटेशन वॉकिंग भी बोल सकते हैं।
Right.
जी, तो ये वैसा प्लेसेस है।
So in the evening, the Buddha used to walk around. So it was his walking meditation, his mindful walking meditation around this structure.
और ये बुद्धा रेजिडेंस है, जो कि उस समय में ये एकदम वेल एस्टेब्लिश था। और यहाँ पे ये एक ऐसा जगह माना जाता है कि जहाँ पे जापानीज वेल यहाँ पे था, ऐसा लोग मानते हैं।
There's a well from which the waters were obviously drawn to feed the community that lived there.
बेल वो घंटा वाला बजाने वाला बोल रहे हैं। ये एरिया काफ़ी बड़ा है, और यहाँ पे एक्चुअली इस अराउंड में 10 किलोमीटर में जब भी हम खुदाई करते हैं तो हमेशा हमको रिमेन्स मिलेगा। उस टाइम पे कहीं ना कहीं खंडहर निकलता है।
That's a fascinating thing. So Rajendra is saying that much of the area around this is still unexcavated, and he's saying that every time that there's any kind of excavation, they find remnants, they find ruins of places.
और बाकी ये सारे रिमाइंस हैं, आप देख सकते हैं, जो कि उस समय चूंकि भगवान बुद्ध का रेजिडेंस प्लेस वहाँ पे था, और ये जो सारे हैं, जो भी जितने जगह दिखाई दे रहे हैं, ये सारे मॉन्क्स जो हायर मॉन्क होते थे बिसाइड उनके रहा करते थे, तो वो उनका ये जो है उनका निवास स्थान भी मान सकते हैं।
So these are also residences, remnants of residences where some of the Buddha's senior disciples lived. And I think we are coming. Yep.
Now we are very near to well. ये
That's right. That's the well there.
ऐसा माना जाता है कि भगवान बुद्ध यहाँ इस वेल का पानी यूज करते थे पीने के लिए और शावर के लिए भी। अभी इसके अंदर पानी भी देख सकते हैं।
Yeah, I think you can perhaps.
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज यहाँ की ये है कि जब किसी को स्किन प्रॉब्लम होता है यहाँ पे, हमारे यहाँ बेसिकली जब इस स्किन प्रॉब्लम होता है तो लोग ये इस पॉन्ड का, जो कि अभी वेल कनेक्ट है यहाँ से ये नल से, तो इसके वाटर से जब हम स्नान करते हैं, मान लीजिए 2-3 दिन हमने यहाँ पे अगर नहा लिया, तो उसके बाद उसका स्किन प्रॉब्लम, जितना भी प्रकार का स्किन प्रॉब्लम है, वो दूर हो जाता है।
Oh, I see. So the modern belief is that the water from that well is actually cures many types of skin diseases. So the locals actually come here, and you saw the hand pump. So they actually draw the water from that well and actually use it if they have any kind of eczema type of problem.
This is the Moolagandha Kuti. It's called to also Buddha residence, but it's also for meditation. And that time ये बनाया गया था करीब 8 मंजिला, ये 8 फ्लोर का था, जो कि लकड़ी से बनाया गया था।
I see. So there was an 8-storied structure, that temple that actually stood here, that was made of wood. And that was really a focal point for the community that lived there. And it's called Moolagandha Kuti.
If the people want to pray, they can pray here. Then I have to move.
So what we'll do, Rajendra, is can you please show us the other spot where the Buddha sat and actually gave his teachings, because we have a few people from the mountain community.
Okay. Yes,
and
right.
The preaching that the teaching that Buddha gave here, particularly the Dhammapada Sutra, is an absolutely wonderful piece of wonderful teaching and wonderful artifact of human knowledge. Venerable Sunam, may I please invite you to lead us through a recitation of the sutra, please.
Thank you so much for taking us there. It makes me goosebumps.
Excellent. Welcome.
So I would like to invite you. We have this beautiful travel. Maybe we also can travel in time and imagine we are sitting there with the Buddha and hearing the teachings. And first in the sutra, the scene is set. I bow down to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. These words once I heard. The conqueror was residing at Shravasti in the park of Anathapindana in the gardens of Prince Cheta. In convocation with him was a great gathering of 1,250 monks who were listeners, as well as an immense number of bodhisattvas who were great beings. In the morning, then the conqueror donned his monk's robes and outer shawl, took up his sage bowls, and entered the great city of Shravasti for requesting his meal. After collecting the food, he returned from the city and partook of it. When he had finished eating, he put away his bowl and shawl, for he was a person who had given up eating in the later part of the day. Lord Buddha then washed his feet and seated himself on a cushion that had been set forth for him. He crossed his legs in full lotus position, straightened his back, and placed his thoughts into a state of contemplation. Then a great number of monks advanced towards the conqueror, and when they had reached his side, bowed and touched their heads to his feet. They circled him in respect 3 times and seated themselves to one side. At this point, the junior monk Subhuti was with the same group of disciples, and he took his seat with them. Then the junior monk Subhuti rose from his cushion, dropped the corner of his upper robe from one shoulder in a gesture of respect, and knelt with his right knee to the ground. He faced the conqueror, joined his palms at his heart, and bowed. Then he beseeched the conqueror in the following words. O conqueror, the Buddha, the one gone thus, the destroyer of the foe, the totally enlightened one, has given much beneficial instruction to the bodhisattvas who are great beings. All the instruction he has ever given has benefit. And the one gone thus, the destroyer of the foe, the totally enlightened one, has as well instructed these bodhisattvas who are great beings by granting them clear directions. All the clear direction he has ever granted, O conqueror, has been a wondrous thing. It is, O conqueror, a wondrous thing. And now, O conqueror, what of those who have entered well into the way of the bodhisattva? How shall they live? How shall they practice? How should they keep their thoughts? This did Subhuti ask, and the conqueror spoke the following words in reply to Subhuti's question. O Subhuti, it is good, it is good. O Subhuti, thus it is, and thus is it. The one thus gone has indeed done benefit to the bodhisattvas who are great beings by granting them beneficial instruction. The one gone thus has indeed given clear direction to the bodhisattvas who are great beings by granting them the clearest of instruction. And since it is so, O Subhuti, listen now to what I speak and be sure that it stays firmly in your heart, for I shall reveal to you how it is that those who have entered well into the way of the bodhisattva should live, and how they should practice, and how they should keep their thoughts. Thus shall I do, replied the junior monk Subhuti, and he set to listen as instructed by the conqueror. The conqueror too then began with the following words. Subhuti, this is how those who have entered well into the way of the bodhisattva must think to themselves as they feel the wish to achieve enlightenment. I will bring to nirvana the total amount of living beings, every single one numbered among the ranks of living kind, those who were born from eggs, those who were born from a womb, those who were born through warmth and moisture, those who were born miraculously, those who have a physical form, those with none, those with conceptions, those with none, and those with neither conception nor no conceptions. However many living beings there are, in whatever realms there may be, anyone at all labeled with the name of living being, all these will I bring to total nirvana, to the sphere beyond all grief, where none of the parts of the suffering person are left at all. Yet even if I do manage to bring these limitless numbers of living beings to total nirvana, there will be no living being at all who was brought to their total nirvana. And now we skip a major part of the sutra and we go to the last verse. See anything brought about by causes as like a star, an obstruction of the eye, a lamp, an illusion, the dew or a bubble, a dream or lightning, or else a cloud.
Thank you so much, Venerable Sunam. Really, really, that was tremendous. It's very special to me as well. Thank you, Rajendra. Thank you for showing us this place. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in, I think, a very special shared experience. All right, we will now move along to another place in Shravasti, very close to Jetwan, not far at all. And this is our final destination for this afternoon. And this is variously called Pakki Kuti and Kachi Kuti. And this is actually associated with the two disciples. One is Anathapindaka himself, and the other is Angulimal. So, Jawaharji, namaskar.
जी नमस्कार सर.
Jawahar is our guide who is standing by at Pakki Kuti. So Pakki Kuti is Pakki Kuti की कहानी क्या है जवाहरलाल बताइए. What's the story of Pakki Kuti?
ये पक्की कुटी एक अंगुलीमाल का गुफा बना हुआ है.
So this is actually the cave of Angulimal, and I think many of you would be familiar with the story of Angulimal. He was
एक्चुअली अंगुलीमाल जो पहले भिक्षु बना था, भिक्षु बन के जब अपना जो भोजन भिक्षा में लेके आया था, तो यहीं पे बैठ करके पहली बार अपना भिक्षा को जो ग्रहण किया था, मतलब खाना खाया था.
So Angulimal was actually Anguli means finger and Mal means garland. So he was actually a notorious. He was a like a highway robber, and he used to decapitate. I mean, he used to actually decapitate his victims and actually take their thumb and wear that as a necklace. He was a pretty grotesque individual. But when he met the Buddha, and I think you must have all heard the story of quite a miraculous story of how he went after the Buddha, but he couldn't really do anything. So that really moved something inside of him. So this is apparently the place where, after having ordained as a monk and taken on the blessings and teaching of Buddha, he sat and actually had his first meal that he had begged instead of stolen or snatched away from someone else. So this is actually a cave where he did that, and that's what this place is known for. And you can see that
इसको पक्की कुटी के नाम से जाना जाता है सर.
So this place is called Pakki Kuti. So Jawahar ji, so what are we looking? हम लोग देख रहे हैं एक गुफा है और उसमें कुछ ईंट से उसको सपोर्ट किया गया ना. Is it a cave?
गुफा है और चारों तरफ से पूरा ईंट से मतलब सपोर्ट किया है. ऊपर भी है, ऊपर बिल्कुल रूफ नहीं है इस समय.
I see. So it's open. It's not, the roof has caved. The roof has caved in. Obviously we can't go inside because it's blocked. It's
लेकिन कुछ दिन पहले ये यहाँ इधर से जाकर के उधर निकल सकते थे. अब ये बंद कर दिया गया है.
Right. So it was still open a few days ago, but just it's closed for now. ठीक है जवाहर जी, और कुछ खास इस जगह का, पक्की कुटी का? I think he's actually showing us the visuals from. He's actually zoomed into, as you can see, the past the fence, the fence posts. So thank you. That's a novel way of showing it. तो जवाहर जी, आप अगर सुन पा रहे हैं, I think his bandwidth has just gone a little bit low. जवाहर जी, फिर आप कच्ची कुटी की तरफ चलिए. हाँ, you're back with us.
जी, हम चल रहे हैं.
So he's now walking towards Kachi Kuti, which is the other place, which is really it's across the road from where he's been. And Kachi Kuti is actually where Anathapindak had his mansion. And Jawahar ji, आपका freeze हो गया है. So can you please maybe unfreeze? Try joining again with your video.
दिखाई दे रहा है सर?
नहीं, दिखाई तो नहीं दे रहा है अभी. वीडियो जरा ऑफ करके ऑन करके फिर से देख लीजिए. Just switch off and on your video.
आ रहा है सर?
नहीं, वीडियो तो अभी नहीं आया है. Can you it's gone blank on us. Whilst we're still getting you back, Siddharth ji, actually, I wanted to bring you in. So we have Professor Siddharth Singh from, he's in Tokyo, I believe right now. He's certainly an expert on Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. Welcome again, Siddharth.
Hello.
आ रहा है वीडियो?
Namaskar. नहीं, Jawahar ji, आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा है. Anuja, could you please maybe work with Jawahar ji to get his video back?
Namaskar, Saurabh ji. And Marcus and everyone.
So, Siddharth, would you mind telling us a little bit more about Shravasti and its significance in the Buddha's legacy?
Well, Shravasti was the capital of Koshal Empire, and Koshal was equally largest. Actually, Magad was the largest empire of that time, during the Buddha. And another rival empire was Kosal, and Shravasti was the capital of Kosal. And almost after 20 years after his enlightenment, Lord Buddha spent most of his life, and most of the important discourses were delivered at Shravasti. So if you go through the collection of the Buddha's teachings enshrined in Tipitaka, composed in Pali language, you will often see all the sutras starting with a line, Ekam Samayam Bhagava Savathyam Viharati, means once upon a time Lord Buddha was staying at Shravasti, and then he delivered this particular teaching. So a lot of the important discourses were delivered at Shravasti, and Shravasti was frequently mentioned not only in the literature of Theravada, but also it is equally important in the literature of Mahayana and Vajrayana. So both the places which you have covered, Rajgir and Shravasti, both were declared two holiest places of that time, when the eight, in the ancient oldest Pali literature, the 8 places are known as the holiest places and 4 were declared by the Buddha himself just before his great demise. And other 4 places included Rajgir and Shravasti. So we are really fortunate that by this virtual journey, you have taken us for the tour of these 2 holiest places. Certainly visiting physically, you get a kind of a spiritual vibrancy and resonance in your heart, which is not possible nowadays. So I really congratulate Vyatra for organizing this. And I would also like to tell you that the rainy season in the Buddhist literature has been, in the Buddhist time and in the Buddhist tradition, has been very important. And when we are telling that Buddha spent 24 or 25 rainy season in Shravasti, that means because the rainy season, when they would assemble at one place and they would stay without going out at one place. So it was the high time when all the important discourses were delivered, not only by the Buddha, but even Shravasti has very significant connection with the Buddha's disciples like Mahakashyapa, Ananda, Sariputta, Maudgalyayan, Anuruddha. So lot of important discourses delivered by Buddha's disciples were also delivered at this place, because that was the time after 20 years when the Buddha was extensively staying or visiting in Shravasti. So Buddha had lot of important disciples who had become enlightened themselves. So Buddha had delegated this responsibility or delegated this right to them to deliver their own teachings too, in the line of the Buddha's own philosophy. So it is very, very important place, Shravasti and Rajgir, both in the Buddhist literature. And if you take the discourses of delivered at Rajgir and Shravasti, so we'll find that almost 70 to 80% teachings of the Buddha were delivered at these 2 places. Thanks a lot for having me. It was a real pleasure for me.
Thank you, Siddharthi. It's always I just love your expert input, and thank you. That's wonderful. Wonderful to know that. I think we've had Jawahar kind of, yes, he's back. He's been sort of obviously dropping off a little bit. But what you're looking at there is Kachikuti, which is it's actually a stupa that was built over the residence of Anathapindaka. So he lived there, He lived obviously in I'm sure, a very large mansion, a very luxurious mansion. Bandwidth is a little bit unclear. If it doesn't clear up, then we'll maybe go to a backup video. But
दिखाई दे रहा है सर क्या?
अब जरा चढ़ जाइए. Let's see go on top. But I think one of the really interesting things here was, hopefully we can see today, there are actually three large sections that when we get on top, you'll see. So they were probably, I mean, certainly the height of the wall that you can see there. And that's where when this place was excavated, gold coins were discovered. So the narrative is that that was probably Anathapindaka's treasury. That's where he stored some of his wealth within his own house, and that's clearly a very logical and safe thing to do. And the other thing that's remarkable is this was not just any kind of mansion. It was actually there was a lovely view out to the river nearby, and that river is now has now moved in 2,500 years about 4 kilometers away, so you can't see it anymore. So he really was, he had a mansion by the river, and obviously the orchard nearby. So he was living a good life. So yeah, I think the bandwidth has gone quite patchy on us. Jawahar ji, कुछ आप मेरे ख्याल से आवाज तो आ रही है. I think we can hear you. Yeah, आप कुछ बता अनाथपिंडक का कुछ बताते जाइए.
ये अनाथपिंडक सेठी का यही महल था. ये माना जाता है ये अनाथपिंडक का ट्रेजरी था. मतलब यहाँ पे अपना गोल्ड कॉइन्स रखा करते थे, और खुदाई में जो हुआ था तो यहाँ पे कुछ सिक्के मिले थे.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly as I was saying before. So this is during excavations, gold coins. Good, you can see it right there. So that's one of the sections.
तो ये हमारे यहाँ 1860 से और अब तक जितने खुदाई हुए हैं, कुछ न कुछ इसमें से मिले हैं, कुछ हैं जी.
Yes,
ये तीन क्या नाम है कोठरियां हैं.
Right, so there are these three sections as we described.
और ये यहाँ से लगभग में 1 किलोमीटर दूर जो विशाखा का महल मिलता था, माना जाता था, पाया जाता था, वहीं पे था. लेकिन यहाँ से दूर है, दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है. जहाँ पे भगवान बुद्ध 6 वर्ष का वास बिताए थे.
So we mentioned before that the Buddha lived in Jetwan itself for 19 years and then another 6 years, and there's a spot that you could see normally, but it's you can't see obviously in this kind of bandwidth.
और उस समय यहाँ से एक अचरावती गंगा नाम की नदी बहती थी, लेकिन इस समय अभी यहाँ से 4 किलोमीटर दूर है, दिखाई नहीं देता है.
The river called Achravati Ganga used to flow nearby, but it has now moved away 4 kilometers from this place. Wonderful. ठीक है. तो Anuja, I think maybe perhaps we can play video and a bit of music with that as well, so we can just enjoy this location. Thank you, Anuja. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our journey to Rajgir and Shravasti. Really, thank you very much for your company, and thank you for bearing with us with some of the hiccups as we had along the way. Bandwidth certainly has its own mind at the best of times, but we just feel that a live experience is something just unusual, and something that every now and then I think there's a nice little breakthrough, and I certainly felt that in Shravasti particularly. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to unmute and perhaps give a round of applause to the virtual guides who've worked hard and had a lot of practice sessions and so on with us. So thank you very much to all the guides. I think it's everybody's in now, so quite happy to open up to your observations, your thoughts, your reactions to what you've seen, what you've heard. So does anybody want to have any, or indeed your questions? We have Siddharthji here, who's quite knowledgeable. We have a number of priests with us. In fact, I'm going to switch off the have our Japanese joining us as well. All right. Marcus-ji, welcome back.
いいですか、発言して。
増田さんどうぞ、please。
はい、今日はありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much。はい。
懐かしい。お好み先生、お元気な、お変わりのない姿で、太鼓をお打ちになってくださってありがとうございます。私は何回かお好み先生の道場にお参りしました増田春代と申します。その当時お母様とお二人で私たちを温かく迎えていただきました。懐かしく本当にありがとう。今日は感謝いたします。
She visited Okonogi Sensei when he was there with his mother, and they both received her, and they had a good time at the temple. So she's feeling very happy to enjoy that today. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you, Dantachitta-ji. Thank you for joining in today as well, and I hope you have a good evening. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Any other reactions?
Satya-san, Dr. Satya Prakash from Korea.
Yes, 안녕하세요.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
How it is? How you liked it?
Very good, very good.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And anybody else? Asai Sensei いらっしゃいますか? Asai Sensei. 大丈夫? Malik Sensei.
Wonderful. Wonderful places. You can't go to those places.
Yes. Malik Sensei, how are you?
Getting well, soon you'll be home.
Okay.
I can
He's
walk
still
now.
in hospital.
Yeah, until Friday. And I can, my legs are good, I can walk down. So on Friday, I'll be home.
That is remarkable. For you to join us from a hospital bed is quite something. That's dedication. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, we have just in wrapping up, Vyatra is very much conceptualized as live journeys to sacred places. So in addition to all the in Buddha's footsteps destinations, we also have Mystical Ganga, which we're actually running next week on Saturday, 28th of August. And that will showcase live footage, live visuals, and commentary from guides all along the quite spectacular Himalayas, and then leading up to Varanasi. And we're also launching another one called Enchanting Krishna, that will be similar to the Buddhist, similar to the in Buddha's footsteps. We'll actually showcase the places associated with the life and legacy of Sri Krishna. So please do join us. The next edition of In Buddha's Footsteps will be in a couple of weeks after that. And I believe the next we're going to is Nalanda and Leh. So very much Leh,
Ladakh, Leh.
Yeah, because we wanted to, we're doing this sequentially, right? So we wanted to just, we want to showcase the places which where Buddhism was then.
Can I translate, Saurabhji?
Yes, please.
This one.
Yes.
Otherwise it will be long. 皆さん、今日はとてもありがとうございます。Vyatra はこれからもミスティカルガンジェス川を紹介する予定ですよ。それはガンジェス川の源からずっと海までのところ、ベナルスまでかな。もう一回はクリシュナ神様の今誕生日が来るですね、お祭りです。その時も見せる予定です。今日も一つお祭りですよ。ラッキーというお祭りは今日です。女性たちはその糸を兄弟の男の人たちの男の兄弟、お兄さんと弟にはつなぐんですよ。だからそれから仏教のももう一度次はナランダとレイ、この2箇所を一緒に紹介する予定です。2週間後になると思います。Okay, please, Saurabhji, please.
Thank you so much. Yes. So I think that's pretty much it from us for today.
And give us some more time to. I think they want to speak something. Okay.
Yes.
Kojima-san, can I bring? Kojima-san, 顔まで見せてください。
はい、小島です。
はい、小島さんの顔は見えないですね。カメラ、大丈夫ですか？見えない。どうぞ。どうでしたか、今日のラジギルは。Mr. Kojima, he was in there, OK Hotel.
はい、懐かしく思いました。20年前に、セントウルホッケホテルラジギルで働いておりました。お好み商人のところにも、お邪魔していろいろとお世話になりました。早く入国の許可が出て、ラジギルにまた訪ねたいと思っております。今日はありがとうございました。
Thank you. He says that he was there 20 years before, and he also met Okonogi Sensei, and he wants that it should open again so that I can visit again to Rajgir. Today, very thankful to you that you have shown us all these places. Thank you very much. Asai Sensei. 今見えてますね、Asai Sensei. Yes.
妙法蓮華経。今日はとてもいい機会をいただきましてありがとうございました。はい、ご霊石の姿も拝見できて、このコロナで皆さんどうしてるかな、とても心配してましたけど、様子が伺えてありがたかったです。こういう機会を作ってくださいまして、とてもありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. I was very happy to see Okonogi Sensei because he was worried about him, that how they are spending their life over there. So I just wanted to directly wanted to talk to him, but just seeing him is also very helpful. And it is very nice program. Thank you very much. ありがとうございます。あとどなたか？金子さん、何か言いたい？
どうぞ。
はい。
マリチャレ。俺とはね。
はい、ありがとうございました。仏教はね、本当に幸せにしたり、平和にしたり、つなぐ力がありますので、またお役に立てれば嬉しいと思います。皆さんよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much. Buddhist is having a power to connect people to people.
声かけられたから。
Maybe Hanile Vyak Sang Diamond would like to say something. From Diamond Mountain.
Yes, hello, and thank you very much. This was a wonderful experience, and we really appreciate being part of it and being made part of it. And hopefully we can continue to promote you, and maybe one day you can come and do something here for us as well, but we will speak. But thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Hanley. Thank you for joining. And yes, very much. Forward to working with you.
よろしいでしょうか。はい。奈良からですけれども、本当にね、インドにご縁のある方、一度でもその場所に行った方方はね、今のインドのその風とか匂いとか湿度とか、いろんなものがその五感になって蘇ってくる、それにぴったりの音楽を今日は選んでいただいてありがたく思ってます。インドの音楽とその景色がぴったりでね、本当に一度でもそこに行った人はあたかもそこに自分がいるようなね感覚になると思うんですね。まあ、日本ではその2月頃にね、そちら季節いい時に行ったら行ってなんてよく言いますけども、私は7月8月がちょっと安くなるのでお坊さんたちと行きましたけれども、それは観光客が少なくて、とてもそんなに暑さ感じなくて、何が良かった言ったらホテルのサービスがお客さん少なかったから良かったっていうのもありましたし、7月8月はい雨季になっていくのもいいなと、もう今もまさに風とか湿度をものすごく感じることができました。次回奈良が楽しみです。
Actually, she's praising that we are giving them time, and the most important thing that when you play that music, that is going very nicely with the city, with that views. And she says that while seeing it, we can feel the air, we can feel the smell of India. And those who visited all these places before that, they feel it that as if they are now there. So she wants that things should open and we can go again. And this place, that each place is teaching something new. And she's very happy today. Thank you very much.
I think
anybody else?
Marcusji, we can manage the visuals and we can manage the sound. Unfortunately, at this point, we can't manage any other senses. So
Yes.
I have heard about new types of computers that can actually release some fragrance. So you can actually mix and match and release some fragrance and remind people of the place that you're showing. So I'll wait for that.
Maybe next program. 今は面白い答えでしたですね。五感の話をしたんですね。今はもう2つしかできないね。見ると聞くしかできないけど、新しい技術でコンピューターで何か匂いも寄ってくるような感じですよ。それは今度使いましょうと私は伝えましたですね。はい。Okay. Anybody else, please? Osaki-san.
From Professor Siddharth Singh.
Siddharth Singh ji, please. Siddharth Singh ji.
Yes,
your views.
Well, it is. I had attended the last one also, and as I appreciated you earlier too, that it is a wonderful mission to connect the people of the different parts of the world with spiritual places of Buddhism. Especially, it is very important during the time of the COVID pandemic when we cannot feel that spirituality by our physical presence. So I really appreciate, and it is not so that you are giving a very superficial knowledge about these Buddhist places. I observed that Saurabh-ji, you and your guides are educating the people about the Buddhist places with the deeper knowledge, which is enshrined in the literature. And your virtual travelers are getting a proper education of the Buddhist places as well as they are able to realize the essence of the spirituality lying over there. So I again appreciate both of you and all the team members of Vyatra. Thanks a lot. And
Thank you,
please
Siddharth.
continue this noble mission in the future too.
Siddharth,
Thanks
I
a
just
lot.
want to mention, and I can see Venerable
Please,
Sunam
Saurabhji.
as well. I want to mention that a book that that has been very close to my heart is a book called The Diamond Cutter. That is based on the teaching that the Buddha gave, obviously, of the sutra that Venerable Sunam narrated today. Exactly at that point in Shravasti, and the Diamond Cutter is a remarkable book. I mean, anyone that has done an MBA has not done anything unless they've read that book. It's about applying the Buddha's teachings in business. That I think Venerable Sunam's colleague Geshe Michael Roach, who was the author of that book, had done himself for something like 20 years. Marcus, would you like to translate just a little bit?
Yes, I would like to.
Yes, go ahead.
皆さん、セダーシンジは大使館からですね、これが素晴らしいやり方で、それで直接これは場所を見せることだけじゃなくて、仏教の内容も皆さんにきちんと伝えていることは、ガイドさんもソロブさんも全部今これしかできない。直接は向こう行けないけど、バーチャルヤトラを通して皆さんの気持ちをそこ連れて行っているんですね。だから勉強になってます。それからこれ見せる人たちだけじゃなくて、見てる方々もとても偉いです。みんな興味を持って、それから一つ一つを場所を大事に見てて、自分の意見を聞かせてます。だからこの企画は素晴らしいです。もっと増やしたいです。これからも2回も先生が参加してるんですね。だからこれからも私は参加したいと思ってますので、続けてください。その答えに今ソロブさんが言ったのは、この場所の大事な一つ話はダイヤモンドカッター、ダイヤモンドをの仕事している人たちの話です。それは全部この行書での話です。けどそれ素晴らしいブックがあります。英語にその本がありますので、それをぜひ読んだ方がいいです。ダイヤモンドカッター。それは仏教のやり方でどのようにビジネスすれば儲かりますということがそれに書いているので、その本は全部皆さんはぜひ見ててください。Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, so Venerable Sunam, if you wouldn't mind sharing a few thoughts on that, and certainly the legacy of the Diamond Cutter Sutra, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I was very, very touched by the journey you put together on all these physical places and also with all the lineages you invited. And the Diamond Cutter Sutra is so dear to my heart. And as you mentioned, the book by Geshe Michael Roach, the Diamond Cutter Sutra, because it takes it from the temple to the daily life. And I think that's what is the most important thing, that we not only practice in the temple, it's important that we practice in daily life and develop this compassion and this love for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. 今日は同じことです。とても素晴らしいこれで私たちをそんな場所、なかなか行けないところを連れて行きましたので、とても嬉しいです。またそのダイヤモンド型の話は、一般の人たちは普通生活からお寺の方に行くんですけど、このダイヤモンド型の場合はお寺からとか僧院から出て普通の一般の生活に入っているんです。だからそれもお釈迦様が教えてくれたんです。普通の生活してても私たちは悟りの道に歩かれますということです。これはこちらの先生とマイケル先生はその本を書いたので、その教えは皆さんに伝えたいです。ありがとう。Thank you
And
very
we
much.
need this explanation because Buddha is, to be honest, he is speaking in riddles. It's so
だから
hard to
お釈迦様は
understand.
全部話が直接じゃないので、このようにいろいろ場面を見せて、それで話をするので、だからそれを理解しないといけないです。形にきちんと説明が聞かないと、そのお釈迦様の教えの意味が分かってくれない。分からないですね。
So that's why it is so beautiful to have books who really explain it for us how we practice in modern.
だからこの本はとても大切です。その本をぜひ皆さん読んでみてください。もっと仏教のことを理解すると思います。
I think Venerable Sunam, Nagarjuna wrote a commentary, one of the first commentaries on the Dhamma Sutra.
That's how the scriptures normally are developed. So Lord Buddha spoke it 2,500 years ago. And after 100, 300 years, you have the first commentary. And then after another 300 years, you need another commentary on this commentary, because it's really like we need this explanation. So every 200, 300 years, there was a new commentary so that you can relate to your life, because it needs to be always connected to your life, to your lifestyle, to your culture, to your experience, that you can practice it. Yeah.
ありがとうございます。今の話はやっぱりお釈迦様の教えだったんですけど、最初はナガルジュナという人がそれを文書に書いたんですね。それは多分300年後になったと思いますけど、その300年後またそれの新しいその時代の生活に合わせて説明がありました。もちろん合わせて今現在は全然違いますので、現在のためにも同じ説明ですけど、これに合わせて説明は必要になってくるんです。だから300年後これが変わってきてますけど、少しずつ変わってきてますけど、その時代の話に合わせているんです。Thank you.
I think Nagarjuna lived in Nalanda, I believe, and he studied there.
Yeah, I think he even founded Nalanda, when I remember correctly.
Sorry, yes,
yeah.
Maybe Siddharth Singh ji can tell us about it. Nalanda, who founded the Nalanda?
No, Nagarjuna actually belonged to South India, and he had come to study at Nalanda. And you know, the time of the Nagarjuna, when he wrote, he created Mool Madhyamik Karika. That was the time of the approximately 3rd century Common Era. By that time, Nalanda was well established as a center of education. Of course, it became Mahavihar, a proper university which had the 5 faculties, including medical science. That appeared during 5th century Common Era. But long before that, from the time of Buddha, Nalanda was the center of the Buddha's discourses, and later it had become the center of the Buddhist education. So it is not so that Nalanda was founded by Nagarjuna. When Nagarjuna came to study at Nalanda, Nalanda was already a big center of ancient education. And as far as the diamond cutter, which is in Sanskrit, which is known as Vyatra GMT20210822 Sutra, when the Mahayana emerged, so Mahayana is erected over the 9 important Mahayana Sutra texts. And out of those 9 Mahayana texts, which are collectively known as Vapule Sutra, Vapule means the great Mahayana Sutras. So one is Vyatra GMT20210822 Sutra. Another one is Lotus Sutra, which is in Sanskrit, which is known as Sadharma Pundarik Sutra. Another one is Heart Sutra, which is known as Hridaya Sutra. So all the entire future development in the Mahayana and Vajrayana is erected over these 9 texts, and Vyatra GMT20210822 diamond cutter is one of those. So that's all from my side. Yes.
Very nice.
Marcus might like to try and translate it.
Let me translate. 素晴らしいですね。今日の集まりはみんなとても勉強の方々です。特にこのシダー先生とそちらからもアラム先生もとても有名です。今の話はナガルジュナはナランダ大学を始めたんですか？先生の話によってはそれじゃなくて、彼はそこ勉強するために来たんですね。もちろん勉強してそこでいろいろ勉強しました。3世紀あたりに来たと言われてますけど、ナランダ大学はお釈迦様の時代から少しずつできてたけど、5世紀に一番立派な大学ができたんです。そこは5つものを教えてたんです。医学もメディカルもあそこを教えてたんです。だからこのような素晴らしい大学はそこにあったので、そこで大状況、 マハヤナのいろいろこと、9つ本はそこで成立されたんです。その成立の中に今の説明したそのダイヤモンドカターのスートラもあります。フルデスートラも、ハンニャシンギョもあります。それからロータスですね。ロータススートラもその中にいろいろ出てくるんです。たくさんいろいろ宗教の集まりは全部このナランダ大学のとこからみんな勉強してきたんですね。だからありがとうございます。ちゃんと覚えてましたかな、私は。Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maxi. I think we might call it a day. We've gone 20 minutes over time. And
過ぎたのでよろしいかなとどなたか手挙げたらいいですけど、大丈夫？一人、マスターさんですね。OK。
ありがとうございます。今、おっしゃってたダイモンカタルってスペルはどういう言葉でよくわからないんですか？
そうですか。Can you put that diamond cutter name in the chat with correct spelling so that maybe they can buy that? ダイヤモンドはわかりますね。
ダイモンド、
はい。
ダイモンド、英語ですかね？
英語ですね。おいさんは何か説明してますか？はい。
はい。私もダイヤモンドカッターって何だろうと思って、ウィキペディアで調べましたら、日本語ではですね、金剛般若ハラミダ教のことです。
そうなんですか。
はい。金剛般若
ハラミタ
教のことです。
はい。ありがとうございます。
はい。
ありがとう。So that we got the Japanese name also for that. Saurabh Thank you. ありがとう、おいさん。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. じゃあ、これでいいですね。
ありがとう。ありがとうございました。Thank you.
I think.
Marcus, I'm just putting the actual Pragya Sutra. There we go. That's it.
And maybe our team, we can say thanks, especially Anuja ji.
Absolutely. So if the team can come on screen, Anuja, thank you very much for managing us through the ups and downs today. It was a difficult task today. Well done.
Nitin, thank you. Nitin ji.
And Nitin, certainly if you're around, Nitin and Rakesh.
Yes, they would like to see the face.
My co-founders of Vyatra. There you go,
yes, Nitin from Melbourne, Australia. And Akhilesh ji.
And Akhilesh ji, Janendra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Always.
Akhilesh ji is from Eightfold Travels in Varanasi.
Thank you, Saurabh sir, Marcus sir.
Marcus sir, thank you. Anyone else is there? Michelle नहीं आया ना? Okay.
मैं जापानी रूम में गया था और आपका धारा प्रवाह जापानी देख के मैं अभिभूत हो गया सर।
धन्यवाद।
नहीं, थोड़ी देर के लिए गया था बिना सौरभ सर के इजाजत के, ऐसे ही देखने के लिए क्या हो रहा है।
बोल भी
लेकिन मुझे आज नया इंफॉर्मेशन मिला कि जनेंद्र को जापानीज भी आती है। ये तो स्पेनिश और रशियन का तो पता था, जापानीज का आज मुझे पहली बार पता चला।
नहीं, सॉरी, आई एम मिस्टेकन। मैं जापानी नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि उनका धारा प्रवाह जैसे बोल रहे थे तो मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ, मैं समझ रहा था, और मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि मैं उस तरीके से स्टाइल से मैं इम्प्रेस हुआ था।
So Janendra, who's our partner, Janendra and Akhilesh have arranged all the guides for us, is saying that he joined the interpretation room despite not speaking Japanese, and was quite impressed by Marcus G's flowing Japanese. So well done, Marcus G. That's good. That's a good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it a day. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your company, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you, Marcus sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Malik Sensei. ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.